G, you got the favor of God on your life.
I guess that's it then.
Look, Jesus paved the way, I'm just trying to be a clone. Yeah, I serve a king that's forever on the throne. Might see me rolling solo, but I'm never alone. So the places that I've been, I ain't get there on my own. It's been a lot of speculation, like I got it, give it to me. I am no one special, I just know I got that favor on me. You can look as close as you want and shine a light on my flaws. All you'll observe is a constant move of God. I'm in awe very often, gotta put a praise on it. There was a coffin with my name on it, God hand stayed on me, broke every chain on me. I'm amazed by his grace, homie. Redeemed. If you knew like I knew, you would serve him too. And kick off the old garment, start running towards the mark, the crown that won't tarnish. Too clean, wipe me down, no charm. And I know you see the fall. That's the favor of God on me. That's a glory cloud going before me. That's grace and mercy following me. I know you see the fall, so turn your high beams off. That's the favor of God on me. That's a glory cloud going before me. Grace and mercy following me. Yeah, I sing glory, glory, glory. Got the favor of God on me. Treat my Bible like my cell phone, man. I always got it on me. I be quick to use the data, flipping through the pages, dancing just like David, cause you only see me shining, you ain't see the tribulation. I used to be lost, down, bound. Now I'm a prisoner of praises. God's been so good, provider and protector, refuge in my shelter. Weather storms are raging like a hurricane or drier than a desert. Mountaintop or valley, you won't ever see me stressing. The enemy got tactics, but I be fighting back with worship, that's my weapon. You see the glow of Moses, cause I'm always in his presence. See a lamp to my feet, I'm a sheep in his pasture. His heart I'm after, completely captured by it all. I know you see the fall, that's the favor of God on me. That's a glory cloud going before me. That's grace and mercy following me. I know you see the fall, so turn your high beams off. That's the favor of God on me. That's a glory cloud going before me. Grace and mercy following me. Who knows where I'd be if it wasn't for your grace, if it wasn't for your mercy. Kept on keeping me through it all, through the pits and the falls, the setbacks and hiccups. Lord, you kept my chin up. I can't thank you enough for your love that's everlasting. People can't understand it, cause they just see the outside elevation, not the inside transformation. How you took a cold heart and replaced it with compassion. You're so amazing. I just wanna redirect the glory back to you and tell them it ain't nothing but the favor. That's the favor of God. That's a glory cloud going before me. That's grace and mercy following me. I know you see it fall, so turn your eyes off. That's the favor of God on me. That's a glory cloud going before me. Grace and mercy following me.
Glory, 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 glory. That's the song we was listening. That's the song we was listening. Well, welcome, family, to another edition to T-Lips Presents The Bridge. We want to welcome you to put your brick in. What?
New style now. Go ahead.
Okay, people, you know something? Hi. But anyway, I want to welcome or send a shout out to Ron and Reg and Stan, the gurus that makes this happen. Okay,
All right.
okay, we got them out the way. The next set of guys, I want to send a shout out to JD, Abstract Excellence,
Okay.
What It Be, Teresa's little man,
Hassan.
Hassan.
Salam Mahmood.
Okay, what she said. How about that? My man over here, Ado, Anthony and the Hizzy. But anyway, now,
And cousin.
who's cousin?
Hi, Francis.
Okay, I'm doing this. Okay, hey Francis, see, you know something. But anyway, now, okay, that's the next level. Now the level of our panel is Miss Interrupter,
I was rushing him. We're ready today.
Twyla. We got Shirley Girl in the house. Shirley Girl. And the infamous prodigal daughter, Teresa. Teresa is back. You know what I mean? But guys, you know, so welcome again. We got a good show for you today. You know, we have some important things that that we need to discuss with you. And again, like I said, we need you to put your brick in this foundation. And not only that, there's a lot of things that are going on, and you know something, we need to get off the sideline and we need to be involved in that. What's going on, because you know something, they kind of sugarcoating things and they throwing up these screens and things of that nature that try to bamboozle you and keep you in the dark. Oh, speaking of which, you're probably wondering why I got this hat on. I'm looking like Houdini but actually, you know something, we're in guerrilla warfare, so I'm set for guerrilla warfare now.
That's
What you gonna do?
Oh, that's
Okay,
right.
but anyway, having said that, pardon me?
Black strips on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, thank you,
No,
sir.
I'm talking about at the top, though. It's black on the side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just in case y'all don't know it, see, you know. Actually, see, they come out in guns and no, I'm just kidding. I told you I'm ready for guerrilla warfare, man. Look, isn't it? No, but before we get started, well, we already started, but Teresa and her family, they visited the Jim Crow Museum
Up in Big Rapids, Michigan.
in
Big Rapids,
Big Rapids.
Michigan.
Dang, they got all kind of rapids
Yeah,
up there.
rapids.
I'd have been lost like hell, but anyway,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Big Rapids, Michigan.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
and we want to share something with you and let you guys know, see, the importance of this knowledge
Yes.
and knowing your history. Now, Teresa's son went there, of course, with them, and we want you to feel his experience, what went through his head as a young man. You know what I mean? So, if we can,
Hassan, it's on you.
Hassan?
Let me ask you a question real quick. When you first went inside the museum, what did you think you were going to see?
I was gonna see like all kinds of weird things that I didn't know about. And when I came in, the first thing I just saw that rope up there, like how black people were back then, and how they got like that rope had been heavy, and like when they stuck our heads in there and they just yank it off, and then they posted up how they used to treat us and do stuff like that to us.
So,
Wow.
so what you're saying is that you saw a rope that simulated it being around the neck of a black person, and how we
And
were-
our heads are so strong, they just break off that easily.
Tell me this. When you saw that rope and you thought about another black person or many black people having had their rope around their neck, how did you feel inside?
I felt like kind of disappointed and sad, and really I was crying, and it was really intense how they were back then, and it was just heartbreaking for me and my mom to see that. And now that we saw it, it remembers that all that the black people did and white people did to black people, that means, and how they did back then.
Let me jump in, because you know something. He said when you asked him, you know, how did he feel and what did he say, and the term that he used, and the words that he used, how black people were. So in his mind, he visioned like we all walking around basically, and we were with a rope around our necks.
Yeah.
And we kind of like still walking around with a rope around our necks.
That's a good analysis.
You know what I mean?
That's good.
So
Yeah,
now
good.
now imagine the kids back then, what they envisioned.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And this is a 2019 analogy of what we're seeing. So what is that analogy back in 16, what was it, 35 or whenever, you know?
Are you talking about in the 1900s?
Well, the 1900s, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
1800s.
you know, so, yeah. I mean, so the impact of slavery is still here,
Yes. Yes.
you know, affecting our children,
Yes.
affecting our lives. So people, again, we have to get, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. But you know something, again, you know something, we got to get off the sideline. We have to get involved because it's very important. Our children.
I
Our
got one more
children.
question for Hassan.
Go on.
After you saw that and having seen that and experiencing that and seeing that this is the way it was for black people in this country. What does that make you feel like doing in the future as far as a young person?
As far as I know, that is still going on, and like to this day, it hasn't changed, and they still doing it today, and like what do white people still do, and how they do to us still to this point of day, and how our lives has they changed. They still hasn't changed.
So, what would you like to see changed
I want to see 'em-
for your future and your children, Grandma? But
Yeah, really.
but what would you like to see changed?
I just want to keep them safe. Make sure to stay away. If you don't know them, just run back to the house. And if you don't know anybody, or if it's your friends or your family member friends, then that's okay. But if it's a stranger that you don't know, you can go in the street and get hit by cars and you don't know how to cross over. Then if you don't know them, just go in the house, and if you don't know them, know people, if somebody knocks on the door and somebody opens it, I just tell them, don't open the door, because you don't might know who it could be. And I said, if it was me, I would check the door, who is it at the front door, and check who it is and find out.
Thank you
Okay,
so
that's
much,
okay.
Hassan. Shirley?
Hassan,
Yes.
how old are you?
I'm 11, but I'm about to be 12 this year.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're too young. I'll let you finish, Shirley. You're too young because you had to think about it. See, when you ask me my age, you might be in trouble.
And then he,
But
and,
yeah,
then,
go ahead,
and
Shirley.
then he said, I'm about to be 12, so you want to hurry up.
Okay.
I caught that too, Hassan. So, 11, so that means you in junior high school, right? Junior high? Senior high?
No, middle
No, you're in middle school, okay.
Yeah.
We used to call it junior high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Thank you, correct.
Yeah.
So, what have you been taught in school? Do you go to private school, or do self-taught, or you go to the regular public school? What
public
kind of?
school.
So,
public school.
what are you being taught as far as history, as far as your people, black people?
When I was in my school in North Glen, they taught us history on about like all the presidents and the people, the founding fathers, and about Martin Luther King Jr. and other people.
What about Malcolm X? Marcus Garvey.
I don't know about that.
See, there we go. The reason why I asked, I have a nephew, 11. He's probably 17 now. Getting ready to go into 12th grade, I think. And I asked him, and this was just last month, I said, so, same question, what are they teaching you in school? I said, do you know anything about Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey? Just what you said, founding fathers, the same indoctrination
Marley.
that we've been getting as we grew up too.
Malcolm X, even what they teach about Malcolm X is a trick bag, because they teach, because what I've learned about Malcolm X after the fact.
What Jermaine was saying was that what is being taught on Malcolm X is a trick bag. That was the exact word.
Right,
He said
exactly.
because he said that you're not really getting the full information even then too. But that goes to the point that we don't control the narratives because we don't write the textbooks.
Right.
We don't own the schools.
Right. And I think, Shirley, your point is a really critical one, because I have been on a mission just personally that, and I know I bother Hassan with, or he considers it a threat for homeschooling for just the reason that you mentioned, is that it's so important. And I think when we went to the Thurgood Marshall Center,
Yes.
and we heard,
Yeah.
and he talked about a people that does not teach their own history is really looking for trouble, and I think that's
Well,
the
Dr.
bit of
Tony Brown-
Dr.
Dr.
Tony
Tony
Browder.
Browder.
Yeah, he made that note, and I thought that was the most pivotal point of the entire event. And it is so important, as you mentioned, Shirley, that we train our own kids with our history.
Well, what's his name? What the guy on one of our first shows, Greg, Derek, or what's his name?
The young man in the pilot show.
Yeah, what's his name?
Um,
To work with Francis.
Oh, I know who you. Yeah, I know who you're talking
But
about.
anyway,
I can't remember his name now.
Well, y'all think of it. See, I'm
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
only one that have laughter.
Yeah,
but no,
yeah,
but
yeah.
no. He said, "My people perish for lack of knowledge."
Yes, yes. That's a good point.
You know what I mean? And we see this perishment of us because we lack knowledge.
And
you
we're
know.
relying on the system to train us. And my goal, as working with Imagination Press and Connect to the Bridge, is to ensure that we create learning books and institutions, and that we get that word out about our history.
Well, you know something, too, Teresa, and I was going to save this because I wanted to bring some construction paper to show you how their narrative, how they set that narrative. Now, we've been fighting for this thing called blackness, to which we're not. We're brown. This is the color black. Do any one of us look black? If you open up a box of crayons, the color black, the black crayon is what? Black.
Right.
The brown crayon is what? Brown.
Right.
Now, white people say they're white. If you look at white people,
That's not
they're
right.
not white.
Right.
So this is a ghost.
Right.
And what did I say? They don't look nothing like a spirit? I said, you know,
spook.
the spook thing. I said, now this is if they say, okay, ghosts are white, you know, you
Right,
put on the white
right,
sheet,
right,
yada
right,
yada yada, and a ghost is a spook.
Right.
What do they call us? How can we be a spook? You know, we
Right.
put on the black sheet and go boo, and white eyes or what?
Right.
But anyway, I just wanted to share that. But again, see, with them setting the narrative, you know, this is black, and they talk about brown people. We're brown people.
Right.
Now there is some brothers.
But you got to be careful. You have to be careful when you use the word brown for people that consider the name as or the
But we
color black,
have a
because
variation.
that mixes. They try to lump us in with Latinos. So you got to be careful when you say you brown, because honestly, I felt
they're
the same
tan.
way. But they don't use tan. They use black and brown.
Well, again, that's the narrative that they set. Again,
but-
like they're white.
But you have to be
But
careful.
we're-
though.
But I
adopted
understand.
it too, though,
Yeah.
But I think it speaks to what is truth, and that's the problem, is that we have not truly identified truth in literature, history,
Yeah.
and we've allowed others to identify truth, and the truth isn't the truth, and that's what we're discovering.
Yeah.
Well, we have now identified truth with American descendants of slaves.
Okay.
That's our
Okay.
identity now.
Right. Okay.
So,
okay. All right.
If you want to be black American descendant of slave, that's fine. Or if you just want to say brown American descendant, but I would prefer American descendant of slave.
Well,
Which
okay.
brings to the point
Go
of
ahead.
the whole argument about this Pan-Africanism and reparations and recovery and all these things. Because people don't want to be associated with the hashtag ADOS because they might not like Yvette Carnell or Antonio Moore. They don't want to be called Foundational Blacks because that's attachments with Tariq Nasheed or Professor Black Truth or the Black Authority, which they took Professor
Yeah.
Black Truth's channel. His whole YouTube channel was taken off. All his videos, everything.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about how the narrative is being set, and it wasn't just because of Caucasian people's standards. It was some of you naysaying black folks
Bootlickers.
who got upset
With
with
brown
the message
tongue- no, black
because
tongues.
you felt threatened. See, here's the thing. What I understand is
agents.
all these white supremacists can have their channels. And they do. They speak in code, but you don't understand what they're talking about. So they have their channels on their different networks. And you still see them. They have their Facebooks, they have other stuff. And they're still up. Oh, they condemned a couple, and they had to lump them in because they wanted to get Farrakhan, so they had to pump something else. So that was that gang.
Yeah.
But then you have a few blacks that are on the air, on YouTube and on our podcast. A few in comparison to the grand number of people and media outlets. And the proper term is medium, because you're talking about more than one if you understand Latin, you understand what I'm talking about. So you take off one, but I'm here to tell you, you take off one, three's going to grow.
Absolutely.
Three's going to grow. So those of you out there who don't like the same opinion of a person, that's what's called a channel. You can click the channel, switch the channel.
Yeah,
So what
yeah.
happened to our First Amendment right?
Right,
Our
that's
freedom
what I
of
was
speech.
asking.
He wasn't talking. There wasn't anything on there where he talking about hate. What he did say certain things like, which is true. There is an insurrection that's bubbling in this country.
Yes.
Young people are tired. Older people are tired. Middle-aged people are tired. People are getting tired. And tired people act out. People are frustrated, act out. And we have to send out a shout out to the families that lost their lives in El Paso, Texas,
Dayton
and
as
in
well.
Dayton, Ohio as well. But I'm here to tell you, like we've said a few months ago, it's just the beginning. You think you saw something yesterday, and I'm not trying to minimize it, but it's just the beginning. And it's going to amp up. I don't know what you believe in. I don't know what you study. I don't know who's been lying to you, but it's just the beginning. It's going to get, it really gets.
Oh, let me say this too, right quick. Was it Tariq Nasheed? Was that it?
No,
Tariq Nasheed.
Okay, now he has a program,
A movie, yeah.
Hidden Colors
Documentary.
5, yeah.
Oh, Hidden Colors.
And if you saw the first 4, you pretty much know what the movie or the documentary is about. Now, they banned him in the UK. They banned him. And,
He was in the
as
play.
well as over a movie that speaks truth. So again, now the people over there,
The writers, boy, they don't
yeah,
play.
yeah,
They don't play.
yeah.
They don't play.
They said,
Now
"You
the movie
better."
is still there.
Yeah,
They're going to
exactly.
show the movie.
They're going to
Yep.
show the movie.
Yep,
Yeah,
they gonna show the
but
movie.
see, they didn't
Because
want
they
to
complain.
show that unity amongst
That's
us.
unity right
you,
there.
You know what I mean? And
That's
so
unity.
they want to keep that hush hush. But again, now the show premiered over here
In Los Angeles.
in Los
LA.
Angeles.
Sold out.
No sooner that the show ended, these bootlickers got on the phone and said, guess what, Mazel? This is a show that y'all can't get out. I don't know how to do that imitation, so okay. But anyway, within the hour,
Yes.
he was banned, and they didn't want to show the film.
Yes, he
People
got the
coming
plane.
from all around in
out.
London
I didn't
to
know
see
anything
this.
about
But
this.
yes,
He was on the plane. The
Yes.
plane was on the top. He had already boarded the plane with his wife.
yes,
Okay, hold on. So he was banned?
Banned.
banned.
The United Kingdom.
He
While
never
on
plane.
the plane, yes.
They came
No,
and brought
no,
him
He
no,
back.
made
no, no.
reservations
He
in
never
the
got
hotel,
on
yeah.
the plane.
He couldn't even get on the
He
plane.
never got on the plane.
He was
Well-
in the line to get on the plane. His wife, they said, let her go on through. But she said, I'm not leaving without him. But there's the plane on the tarmac. They're boarding. And then he's told, he can't board. Had a letter saying that
And-
what he's doing is not conducive to the good people. or the
It's
good
not
country.
conducive to the people.
To the people of England.
That's cold-blooded.
Because,
Yeah.
So, a documentary. See, this is one thing about, I don't care how you feel about Tariq Nasheed, King Flex, shout out to you. I don't care how you personally feel about him. You can't dispute the facts of Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, and 4. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing rolled with him. If you knew anything about her, she didn't attach herself to any old body. So there's something about that young man that rings true. And if you watch Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, and 4, which I recommend strongly as you go pick up, you
And
need to
5.
watch it. And with 5 is now is on Amazon. He put it on Amazon. He put it on Amazon
And number 15 as far as movie ratings.
Wow.
right now.
Yeah, it ranked
Number
up
one
there
documentary in the world right
yeah, exactly.
Well, I haven't seen it. I've heard about it, but I will definitely watch it.
You can buy it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Pre-order.
pick it up. And what I'm finding in my own personal research is that we have been told so many lies about our own history that is very upsetting, and that others have agreed to the untold lie. That there are
Well
other,
put. Yeah.
other people
Yeah.
are in
Very good.
agreement about keeping their mouths shut as well.
Very
So
good.
it's important for us to connect with places like Connect to the Bridge and Anthony Broward, Thurgood Marshall Center, all these groups, your group as well.
Moving for black people.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. But we need to start really, and we need to read. We
Yeah,
need to
and Dr.
read.
Claude Anderson.
I'm saying R&R, read and research, not rest and relaxation, but R&R,
Well-
read and research.
I want to add back to what's his name?
Hassan.
Hassan.
Yeah.
I gotta get that right. Hassan, and I'm not speaking directly at you, for children in general. That Hidden Color 5 should be a good opportunity for kids, children, or teenagers to look at.
Okay.
And it could be like a watch party, have some kind of party, and get kids together, children together, and watch that.
And we should,
Because that's a history. And one of the things they were pissed off about is because they mentioned something about the Queen.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's
the
the
royal
Queen.
family.
That's the
Right,
trigger.
right.
That's the trigger.
English.
Remember, that's
yeah.
Britain.
Yeah.
That's what triggered
Meghan
it.
Markle's in-laws.
Well, if you look
That
at
triggered it right there. Them whites didn't want to go
yeah,
there.
all these traits are European traits. All the ramifications for slavery and all this debauchery are European traits. And so, again, now, I don't know nothing about the Queen.
Okay, here's one of the
you
things.
know.
This is one of the things I can tell you. I'm on this train. They have all these different artifacts all around the world that belong to the Jewish heritage, and they have gone dogmatic to the left side of Egypt, to the north side of hell, to getting all their artifacts brought back to Israel, and rightfully so because they were absconded. I'll give you that. But England owns artifacts that actually were stolen from other African countries, and they won't give them back.
Well,
That's what the documentary is
right.
about.
And part
It's
of the
talking
reason,
about that.
and with Dr. I think it's Ivan Van Sertima, I think, and part of the reason they won't give them back is what they reveal. And
Very good. Yeah, you're right,
we
Teresa.
really need to understand that the black man was here first. Bottom line.
Absolutely.
Was here first, was even in England first, and I would ask you to pick up Dr. Anthony Broward's book, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. But until we really have an understanding, and that's why we have such racism, because people they think that we don't know nothing, and we were in the African jungles all our life, and that was it, and that helps to breed racism and inequality.
Well,
Then the
and
question
you know
is,
something?
but the
Go ahead.
question is, why is it that we support one group toward regaining their heritage and regaining theirs, but there's such a big repel against black peoples internationally doing the same thing?
Because
there should be a big push.
the one group is not really who they say they are.
Well,
And
let
we
me
will discover that if we keep
Read
digging and
if-
read
if
and
we
research.
have to, we have to wake up, man. You know,
Right.
like over in France are guilty of stealing artifacts from Africa. Now, here's the reason why they justified them keeping it. They said, we can preserve them better than you.
But they won't
Like
tell you the
Africa
truth.
is
They won't
still
tell
in-
you.
in
But
the
they will
Stone
not.
Age.
But they will not tell you the fact that
course
even
not.
today,
And the
that
Cairo
in order for
Museum-
Nigeria, some of them other African countries to gain their independence, every year they pay money to France. You all need to start reading. You need to start researching. You need to stop playing the video games and going out here throwing up, tossing up all that dumb stuff. While you're doing that, you're dying.
Right.
You're dying, people. And all you old cats that sit in the way and won't get out the way and won't teach anybody, you got to get out the way. We're pushing you out the way.
We're
Mowing you
pushing
like
you.
a lawnmower.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, if you're old like me and you still understand that you have a role and your role is to do this and you know your role, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane or get in your lane. And if you have a problem with understanding what it is, then don't do anything. I mean, don't harm the people that try to do stuff. That's all I'm saying. That's just like, I got to get to this because I'm itching right now.
Why
We
you look
went.
at
We
me?
went. Oh, you thought thinking about force of these itches for a stretch, itching for a stretch.
I'm like,
No,
I'm itching.
it wasn't that bad. I didn't give a look like that. Look like that.
Yeah.
No, it didn't.
Well, I had a comment, didn't I? I broke up your
You
whole.
always have a comment. So
Oh, no, that's true too. Anyway.
listen, don't just sit out there, young black folks, and do nothing. And don't sit out there and jump in the lane without knowing what kind of car is coming down there on that lane.
That's something to think about.
Find out the maker of the car that you're trying to drive, because they can give you the specifications of that vehicle. Check the one who wrote the owner's manual.
That's
Okay.
good.
Now, I
Oh,
say
check-
that because I got to get to this.
Get to it.
I got to get to this.
All right.
A lot of us are on different agendas. And Cobra has one. ADOS has one. This group has this. This group has that. We did a wonderful thing. We met up on the 1st of last month in July at the National Day of Reparation. There were like at least 14 different groups that
right,
got
right,
together at the
panel.
press club, and we had a wonderful time. We all agreed that we were going to work together.
On
And
one
there's
accord.
some other groups out there that need to come on board too, because we're better and we're stronger together.
That's good.
Okay. But here's the thing that Shirley and I had worked on. Well, earlier this our shows, we had a young man named John Cheeks was here, and wonderful man, wonderful idea about the United States Recovery Act, well, the D.C. Recovery Act specifically for those who are descendants of the enslaved that live in Washington, D.C. Now, as it was written initially, we could go a long road with that because it was for the recovery finances for black peoples. Now, what he did reveal, and this is a disclaimer, so I'm telling you, this is a disclaimer. Number one, whatever I say, I can back up. That's why I only say what I know what to say. I don't walk back any words I say because I'm careful about what I say when I say it. Okay? That's just me, always have been, always will be. Number two, this is not an indictment against Foxwave. Foxwave has nothing to do with this, so don't go to the owner and say, oh, no. And number three, this is not because of the panel that connects to the bridge. We don't bash people.
Yes.
We bash issues and positions.
Yes.
And if an issue or position is contrary for the development of our people, we got to get it. We got to hit it. Equal opportunity hit. Okay.
Yes.
So John knows this is the position because I've talked about it. We've conversed about it. So I'm not saying anything new. So those of you out there who are going to say something new, no. In fact, I talked to a member of his camp the other week and told them that this was going to happen. And so now I have to make the words true. So the United States D.C. Recovery Act was supposed to be for the descendants of the enslaved and who are resident in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And we were working diligently. But then John came on the show and said that even when the question was asked, how did he start doing this? And he said that someone else
was behind it.
that someone else had recruited him for this effort.
For this,
for this effort.
Specifically
for
this effort. Yeah.
So now I want you to put a pin note right there. So he's recruited. Okay. So the act went through several revisions and it went through a different name. It was UC, now it's USARA, and it might be something else, but by now, but the one thing in there,
still recovery.
But the recovery. But the one part in there was something about we're breaking in tiers. Tiers first for the blacks, Americans that had ancestry, and then for Caribbeans that have ancestry connected to the plantation, which no problem with that.
Right.
Because there were Haitians that were dumped off into the ports in Georgetown in D.C. No problem. Documented, well-known fact. No problem at all. Then there was a third group of people. And this third group that I'm telling you, it's a sellout move. I said it. It's a sellout move. The third group says that money should go to, or compensation should be going to, the Federal Reserve, federal employees. And I said, federal employees or the federal? I kept questioning, what is this? Well, you know what? I didn't get a straight answer at first. So I went to some partners of mine at the Pentagon. I said, well, you know what? I Googled. I checked my secretary, Miss Google. And, you know, I went to the library. I checked reference books. I could not find out who this term of people were. So when you won't tell me, and I got to dig it for myself when I'm going to the white meat. Okay? Found out. It was for the Union soldiers, in regards to the Union soldiers that fought in the Civil War or the War of the Young States. So I went back to him with that information, told him what I knew, okay? And I said, I will not and cannot support any act, nothing that gives reparations or recovery to any Caucasian person, period, for slavery. I cannot. This is a very specific claim I'm talking about, a very specific issue. I'm not talking about red line segregation, I'm just talking about the one thing. I'm talking about my great-grandfather. I'm talking about other people's great-grandparents. Yeah, mine was Josh Horn. That's just one ancestor. That's my inline heir. Okay? Yeah, I know the name. And I challenge you all to find out the name yourselves, too. Dig them up. Find the name. Anyway, so then I get this commercial message back, didn't I? Says about, well, they went to compensate the ones who fought on the children of the Union. And that with the fight, because they fought on the side of right. I said they ain't fight on the side of right because the war didn't have anything to do with slavery. We were not, and so people said, oh, I heard that, but Lincoln changed his mind. Lincoln didn't change his doggone mind at the end.
You got the receipts.
I got the receipts.
Oh, yeah.
The Crittenden Crittenden-Johnson Resolution, which is also known as the War Aims Resolution. I'm going to say it slow, and if you want it, you can listen to the rebroadcast. The Crittenden-Johnson Resolution, also known as the War Aims Resolution. Crittenden was a representative in Kentucky. There were some border states. Kentucky was a border state. Tennessee was a border state. Missouri was a border state. Delaware was a border state, and Maryland was a border state. They were slave states. So those you think you're not in the South, you live in Maryland? No, you're Southern. You're Southern. Get over it. So when you talk about people in Alabama being Bama, you're just the same way. You south that Mason-Dixon line. In fact, you have to go up to Pennsylvania, almost to Hanover, to get to the Mason-Dixon line. There's a sign that says Mason-Dixon line. Okay? You better start reading.
Yes.
You better stop putting them textbooks down. Put them textbooks down. You better start reading. Hit them libraries. I don't mean going on the internet online. That's the lazy way. You might get a start. You better go to that book.
Yes.
Read what the documents say. Okay, so then the other person was Johnson. And we know who that racist Johnson was. I can't hardly stand saying this dude's name. Senator Andrew Johnson, who ended up being the president after Lincoln. And those you black folks who love the Republicans so much, the Republicans did not free you. Lincoln was a Republican, but he didn't run on a Republican ticket. Because Johnson was a Democrat. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They ran on the National Union ticket.
Wow.
Now,
That's good.
dig it up in your school textbooks. You won't find it.
That's
but if you
good.
go to the National Archives, it's right there. This is a chair squeaker, so don't think I'm doing something peculiar, folks. Okay. So the war had begun on the 12th of April, 1861. Because I heard it myself, and it didn't sound right in my ear. Just so you know.
Okay.
That's what I bet.
I had to be here.
I used to bet.
That was
You got to watch last week. There was ice between the Wright brothers and me. Trying to tell you. It was like,
No,
what
we
you say,
was
you
curious about the better. I mean, you'll have to go to last week to find out that analogy, but, you know.
all right.
Carry on, sorry.
We're ready. Carry on.
Abe Lincoln was worried about these border states. And see, you got to remember, too, there was slavery all across all the 13 colonies. When you talk about Sojourner Truth, she was a slave that spoke Portuguese. So you stupid people in Akron, Ohio, keep saying she said, ain't I a woman? She didn't say, ain't I a woman. She said, ain't I a woman? Because she spoke with a heavy, thick accent, dialect. And that speech that they have on the welfare building in Akron, Ohio, y'all busted it out, which I was so against them naming the welfare building Sojourner Truth building. They said, oh, because she was a mama fight. Yeah. And guess what? My cousin was one of the people who was a council person who was on board with that. Yeah. Then I had to call it out what it is. I thought it was a slap in the face. Come on, this is the location where this convention was held. I don't care. You don't have to name the building after her. You put a bust out there and you mention the fact of the convention on this site. But they didn't do that. So it's this Sojourner Truth building where you want to go get your welfare benefits. Every time they attach our name to something, it's always something really negative and degrading. You know, she didn't get anything. In fact, they took all 5 of her children away. Go figure. Anyway, you got to read a little more on that too. Try and tell you. Now, so he was upset because in the North, the way that they got their money was that they had to use the Ohio River. Now, we remember seeing Ohio River growing up. Ohio River goes down through Kentucky, on Missouri, and Mississippi. That was where Indiana and Illinois and Ohio got their commerce. So, of course, Lincoln was upset about it, and so were these southern states. Like, okay, but they couldn't have commerce in the factories except for all the natural resources were in the South. So they were taxing them.
Free labor.
Yeah, but guess what? The North also had free labor too. You know what they did?
What?
They enslaved children.
No way. So this
Children
is a little untold secret.
Children were taken from their parents because the men were taken in the war to fight.
Right.
So they made children work in these factories. That's why
because then we had all the Massachusetts.
Child labor had the laws.
That's
right. They chained these children of all races to buildings, to machines, to work. Wow. Child slavery. Wow. While they were supposedly fighting. And the reason why they started fighting, and the thing about it was that it wasn't even called a war at first. It was called national emergency, because the North got their behind kicked right out in Manassas, and at the first Bull Run. So they declared a state of emergency. But I want to read to you specifically why this clause in this Crittenden-Johnson resolution is so critical about these Union soldiers, and why I say don't give them a darn dime, or their grandchildren or great-grandchildren, whomever, period. First of all, the Crittenden-Johnson resolution intended that the Union government and the Union take zero actions against slavery. Zero. Nada, nil, none. The second clause stated that the war wasn't fought, quote, to overthrow or interfere with the rights or established institutions of those states, talking about the peculiar institution, and it goes further than that, but to defend and maintain the supremacy of the Constitution and to preserve the Union. They were not fighting, the Northerners were not fighting to free the slaves. The Northerners were fighting to free the Union, because many of the Northerners were slave owners or ancestors of slave owners, including the great emancipator Abraham Lincoln, whose great-great-grandfather owned slaves, including the United States Union General William Tecumseh Sherman and Andrew Johnson himself. Andrew Johnson himself. So if you sign on to this Recovery Act, you're going to give Andrew Johnson's descendants money. How the heck does that work? He was a slave owner. His first slave was a girl named Dottie. She was like 14 years old. They believe he's the one who impregnated her with 3 children in Tennessee. The only reason why he lost his slaves because the Confederates took his slaves and took his land when he decided to be the vice president of the United States and sided with the Union. He didn't freely give up his slaves. He lost them because Tennessee, the people of Tennessee just ran over and said, oh, we're going to take this. They took his land and made it a Confederate hospital. Okay, read it. I didn't write it, read it. Lincoln himself said, quote, this war is not waged in any portion or any spirit of oppression or for any purpose of conquest or subjugation or purpose of overthrowing or interfering with the rights or established institutions of those states. Established institutions of those states. You better read it. The established institution of those states was slavery. But to defend and maintain the supremacy of the Constitution. And the Constitution in it, it calls the Indians merciless savages. It's still in the Constitution to this day. You better read it. And to preserve the Union. And this was ratified in the House and in the Senate. After the Nat Turner Rebellion, that's when everybody started signing on and stuff because they got scared because the Negroes were saying no, and it's not and this and not up. And the reason why Andrew Johnson came into power was because of the Nat Turner Rebellion. Afterwards, he was voted in to office, different offices, like as governor in Tennessee and stuff like that, because they wanted real estate tax reform. Yeah, his first slave was named Dolly. She was 14 years old. So when Lincoln said all men were created equal, Andrew Johnson said all men are created equal did not apply to blacks. Watch this. Great emancipation, folks, you historians. When the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863, guess what state it exempted? I'll tell you. Andrew Johnson's state, Tennessee. Because he asked Lincoln to not exempt his state, to exempt his state from freeing the slaves. Andrew Johnson, Union soldier. Andrew Johnson, general in the Union Army. Andrew Johnson, slave owner. And his descendants will be recipients of this recovery if he has any ancestors that live in Washington, D.C.
Probably do.
So the answer is
no.
No.
The D.C. Recovery Act is not for you.
Exactly.
The D.C. Recovery Act, as it stands, with that clause in there, because why are you going to award monies to your oppressors, who also afterwards had Jim Crow laws that didn't end until 1965. Jim Crow was the law of the land to 1965. They had black codes. You had redlining, which didn't not only include black folks, but redlining included everyone who was not a Northern Caucasian European. Europeans from Northern Europe. So that meant the Italians were redlined, the Greeks were the Jews, Catholics, Hispanics, Asians. So that's why we can't lump them all together. I love you all, some of you, my brethren in Cobra. We're real cool. But on this one, we can't roll on this road. I'm in one lane on one street and you on some other street.
And I want to add,
Can't.
we've asked
Can't.
Mr. Cheeks to address this on many occasions, and he has pretty much ran, hide, ignored the fact.
That one clause nullifies that whole document that he spent back-breaking time putting together, and it's well put together. What was it, the third show that we had?
But I think
It was well put together.
But Twala, I know you got a few more items to get to, but when you're finished, I want you to talk about all of the legislation like EEOC, what is it? The affirmative action. How much others are on the chip with us that we don't even use a lot of these things that they think we use.
That's because they always say
They're
that people
always-
getting a handout.
Yeah, they're always, it's always, there's very little legislation that really helps us solely.
True. As
Well,
a business
something,
owner, I
no,
agree.
Correct me. I'm gonna kind of put it in the ballpark, and y'all fill in the blanks where it's necessary. But was it World War I or World War II when I guess the public assistance was helping people, kind of like the start of welfare?
That was after Franklin Delano Roosevelt with the New Deal.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, okay, the New Deal. So, okay, again, so these things were not meant to help black people.
It
They
was
were-
helping Americans because everybody suffered
Exactly.
from
Because of
the
depression.
Great Depression.
Ex-
I mean, you had people
exactly,
jumping, you had
exactly.
people in Wall Street jumping out of windows,
Right.
killing
Right.
themselves. Called Black Monday. Go check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Don't believe anything I'm saying. I didn't write it though, just like the Bible. I didn't write it. I didn't read the Et Sefer. I didn't write it, but from cover to cover, I'm on it. So you all kill messengers all the time. You killed Marcus Garvey because you sent him back. You killed Queen Mother because you asphyxiated her message. You killed Fannie Hammer because they made her sterile as a child so that she could never have children. Yeah.
What's the dude there?
You killed Stokely
Binko?
Carmichael because you all wouldn't move fast enough because you do-gooders in the SCLC had one move, and to this point, I used to be a member of SCLC. We both did, so I can talk about it because I know what's not being done. Okay, same people doing the same thing, and I don't see nothing. If you all been quiet, I love you, Paul. Love you, Bishop. But you all been real quiet on these reparations.
Or maintaining status quo.
And so, to the point that, well,
maintaining status
and
quo.
how is
to
it
be-
that the king's
that's-
children don't belong to it? And their father was one of the starting founding members, and they had a whole lot to say. Talk to Bunny. Okay, you don't have her number. Sorry. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So it's coming out like that. It's coming out just like that.
I don't know.
It infuriates me when I think about General George Thomas, Ulysses S. Grant, Wellington Custer Sherman, Andrew Johnson. Those were generals in the Union Army that also owned slaves. It infuriates me when people who don't know stuff don't want to hear it. It infuriates me when people know stuff and then they try to whitewash and change it up. I need you all to get this book called The Slave Trade. It's by Hugh Thomas. My copy's packed up.
Okay.
The Slave Trade by Hugh
Slave
Thomas.
Trade.
After you read it, hit me up. Hit us up. Go to Connect the Bridge on YouTube. Go to Connect the Bridge. Check this out on Instagram. Go to T-Limbs on Twitter. Or go to connecttothebridge@gmail.com. How about that? So let us know. We're not just throwing stuff out there. We're trying to make everybody better, including ourselves.
Yes.
Real quick, affirmative action really wasn't for us. You need to read this good book called When Affirmative Action Was White.
Was white.
Pick it up. When affirmative action was white. Affirmative action is what helped business owners to this day. They get this thing called abatements and tax breaks. It's the same thing. Affirmative action doesn't help anybody black. This is what they did. I'm going to run through this real quick, though. Affirmative action was rewritten to include when you all allow yourselves to become minorities, you lost out, black people. Because minorities meant anybody that wasn't
That's
white.
Right.
So that meant Asians and Latinos.
White women.
And white
women
women.
are the biggest.
And
Yeah.
the ones who are the biggest ones of
Those are
recipients.
are white women.
And slaveholders.
So what they do is a Caucasian woman will get a business, but guess who runs it?
Her husband.
And guess who gets the wealth?
And I've seen it in action.
We're still seeing it in action. And then also, too, with affirmative action, what they did, and this is what a lot of employers did. You got this blacks, they said 2 for 1. What they did was they'll hire someone black. but they didn't always hire the most qualified black person.
Yes.
So that meant when a Caucasian person saw a black person being hired, they said, well, how did he get it? Because he's not even qualified. And oftentimes they would be telling the truth. Because the employers weren't concerned about getting the most qualified, they just got a black face to meet the mandate that the federal government had imposed upon them. So as far as affirmative action, I've never got a position because of affirmative action.
I haven't either.
Period. I don't even put my race on
No.
anything. I don't put my gender on anything. The other day we were signing some papers so that where they want to know what your race was, and I had
what your
already
race was.
said, and I had already put the thing saying, I put it in the computer. I said, rather not disclose. Talking about because the federal government looks on these companies. I don't care what the federal government's doing. They're looking at these companies. That's what they say. But so what do you do if you find out that they don't? How many hundred more years are you going to correct something? You still haven't correct? I mean, for real. Federal government hasn't corrected this other thing yet. So, but I can't do you. I can't right now. And I'm going up. Like I said, going to see some cat in Philadelphia here sometime soon. Sometime in September. Coming there. Yeah, we are. Because of what you're doing with veterans. Daryl Cook. He's president of the city council. So I'm calling it out there. Going up there. But to wrap what we did, what we talked about today is that so it's important when you attach yourself, like right now. Sheila Jackson Lee is in Ghana. I went to Ghana with some of the members of the
Nancy
national
Pelosi.
with Nancy
Pelosi with the dashikis on. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. This is my book. This is my book. You need to get this book. I know you can't see it real well, but that's
Tell them
okay.
the title, 'cause-
I already told him. It's called The Slave Trade by Hugh Thomas.
Well, tell them
And
again.
the story of the Atlantic slave trade from 1440 to 1870. 1440, folks, to 1870.
Not 1619.
Not 1619. We had slaves in the Spanish colonies down in Florida back in the 1500s. I keep trying to tell them to change the dates, get the dates right. The data's there. Don't come to me if you, come on, well, it wasn't because the United States was a foreign government. The United States was a foreign government in 1619 either. Okay? So is that the answer you got for me? Check me on something else. Okay. Now, what was I saying about
Ghana.
the national the congressional
They on a tour.
Congressional Black Caucus? They went to Ghana. Why? And when she read H.R. 42, the Ghanaian government, why? Why?
Why are they even in Africa?
Why are you in Africa?
Right.
Listen, H.R.
The
40.
problem is here.
H.R. 40 doesn't even have enough signatures to even make it so he can make it up there to even
And
be on the floor.
when the last time Nancy Pelosi been to
So
Africa?
what do we need to
Especially
do?
Ghana.
What is it that we as black people,
American
descendants of slaves need to do to right the wrong as far as reparations are concerned?
I got two things. One, you need to start grooming people to be leaders. Stop complaining about stuff.
Good.
Groom people to vote on. Even if they don't win the election, so run a game. So run a game. So run a game. You're going to get your voice heard. You're going to get bigger, louder, stronger. Stop sitting back on the sidelines saying, well, these things are wrong. There's a lot of stuff wrong. I mean, there's a lot of stuff wrong. Right. I promise you, there are. It is. But by complaining about it and talking about it and saying we're going to do our own thing.
So we need to get more involved.
Need to be more involved.
Okay.
Need to become more politically savvy and stop
Okay.
watching sound bites.
Right.
People complain about. I had somebody
MSNBC.
who sent me a message and complained about my comments about Elijah Cummings, and then had the nerve to ask me what I thought about his house break-in. I said I hadn't thought about it. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. I hadn't. I got other things to concern myself about. Because what they did was they just looked at what I said, and they didn't look at what I was saying. There is a lot wrong in Baltimore, and you cannot blame that on the federal government. Not when you got a mayor and city council, a corrupt police department, a messed up school system. That's not the federal government. That's the whole thing that we got these laws between federal government and state. When you read the anti-federalist papers. How about that? Let me school you on that. Federalist versus anti-federalist. And see what it says. So then you understand about how your local governments run and how they actually start out this. So I mean, so
involvement is number one.
Involvement is number
Well,
one.
can I say it's a lot of agents out here too. I'm not going to call any name on what you just mentioned about the federal government and a certain person that's very popular who made a statement that the problem is not Elijah Muhammad because the money that the money that is they're trying to put it on Trump or the federal government. And the politicians, they're trying to say that the money that they are given to make the city better is the problem of Trump or whoever's in charge.
Was Trump in office when Freddie Gay got beat up?
No,
was he in office?
But I'm just saying there's a lot of agents out here. There are agents out here even that we somewhat agree with. We agree with them. I'm not calling no names, but you got to listen to what they say. Because I heard something the other day from a certain person that's very popular, black, and I'm like, okay, he's trying to say Elijah Cummings is okay. I'm saying, no, he has a problem.
But I think, like you always say, Sean, that we really have to pay attention to our leaders who are just maintaining status quo when we know we have real issues and problems as American descendants of slaves that need to be fixed. And we've got to have an agenda. The agenda needs to come from the people. And like you said, we need to work and be more politically active.
Yeah, exactly.
And we got to disrupt these political people, CBC, in what do you call it, NAACP. Now, I'm not afraid to disrupt. I've been disrupting things all my life, so I just want y'all to know. I just
what you say? You're not.
So I just can't do stuff by myself. You see, I'm not.
But you always have to, like with some organizations and NAACP for one.
They got to go.
You got to make sure it was an organization even established by you. That's part of the dilemma.
Well, they even made one of their leaders resign, or he ended up resigning in Virginia. But he made some comments about how people are bootlickers and how they just follow on with status quo. He spoke the truth. So people are offended.
But he was telling
the truth. But let me answer the second question. The second part of the question real quick, and then the clock is hitting us. The second thing is we need to really push for a national push for term limits of all parties, of all offices.
Okay.
Because there's no way that half the people that are in Congress should still be in Congress. Because I read you last week that Supreme Court ruling that said you cannot push them out of office and impose term limits on them. That was 1995. This is 2019. That needs to be revisited, and we need to get them out of office. There's no reason why someone should be in for over 12 years. After 12 years, I don't care. I think I'm a pretty brilliant person on certain things. After 12 years, I got to sit down too. Somebody else got to come in. Somebody else got something to say. Somebody else got something fresh. And even though I might hear it, somebody else needs to actually implement it. So this is ego, American folks' ego.
Same thing with the courts too.
That's term
life.
Period.
They're in there for life.
Supreme Court. That's what I'm saying. But that needs to be a national referendum. But let's get to what this Harvest Day DC event is coming up on Saturday, August the 10th. Our good friend Dr. Claude Anderson. It goes from 10 to 7. There's going to be vendors. There's going to be open mic. There's going to be speakers. He's going to be speaking. Gerald Sanders is going to speak. Rick Mathis, who produced Black Friday. Brother Kush from PKB is going to be there. Let's see, Hakia Me, one of our friends. Freedom Paper representative. They're going to be there. Paul Agata is going to be there talking about literacy for nation building. But there's a whole lot of stuff going on the same day in ADOS Southern California. I got a ticket. Town hall meeting to discuss 2020 presidential candidate platform and growing demand for reparations and the Black agenda containing specific programs and policies that benefit ADOS. That's going to be at 4331 Degnan Boulevard in L.A. That's DEGNAN Boulevard in L.A. That's the We Can Foundation. And afterwards, they're going to have their own Harvest Day Festival event. It's going to be at Lymert Park. But then also, too, in D.C., Empower the Community Weekend is going to be at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. The Black Girls Ventures is going to have their boot camp at Corcoran College of Art. The Gospel Fest is at the Sports Arena, and I want to say Miriam Zara is going to be there. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
And it's going to be, and then She Would Be King, Liberian Early Years is a debut of Mount. Yeah, it's going to be at the Alba Osteria. This is Way Too More, who's a wonderful art writer. Then the Caribbean Choir is going to be around in District 8 in D.C. Live music, DJs, and it's at multiple venues. Amazing Grace Musical is going to be at the Museum of the Bible. That's going to be this weekend. On the 10th also. All this is on the 10th. And then Adifa presents Kulubo, which is at the George Washington University. And they got Black Mozart in Washington, Black and Black, and they got a short film festival. So there's August the 10th. There's a whole lot that's going on in that date. So There's no shortage of anything that you need to do. Go out and support what you can. Once again,
Yes.
my lament, like I always say,
Yes.
too much going on for us in one day. Nobody's talking to each other.
Right, and read and research.
Till next time, folks.
Can you tell me
Oh,
what these
real
were
quick,
for?
30 seconds. Here, Sean. Shirley, put these on Sean. Put them on him. Put them on him.
They ain't gonna fit.
Just put the what?
Put one.
That's just handcuff him.
Okay, what we gonna do now?
Okay.
Gonna lock it?
Well, here, put
Wait,
it
you
on my
got
arm.
the
Okay.
keys?
What did you want on mine?
Put
me in these places.
one on my arm.
His and came off.
Here, I'll
you
do,
better-
we'll do it.
Here we go. Here we go.
All right, come on.
Here we go.
I remember one
we go,
time they
look.
put one of
And
these
you
on
do
me,
the
and
key.
I was able to get out of
Okay.
it.
Oh, that's because you slid. Okay. Look.
Houdini, huh?
Okay.
I'm serious.
Okay. Teresa, you got the key, right?
Sean.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
See, this is the deal. And I want you all as black people stop handcuffing yourself to systems. Stop handcuffing yourself to traditions. Stop handcuffing yourself to what people just say. Check out what they do and research it for yourself. What you need is the key. On that, Ron,
Take us home.
take us home.
Business owners looking for a place to advertise your business and promote your products and services? VoxWave is the right place. We have over 10,000 views a day and 70,000 listeners a month. For more information, contact Reg Gaskins at 240-832-4455.
VoxWave now features a streaming radio media player on our website's front page, where local artists can get their music played 24/7. For more information on getting your music in rotation or to perform live at our studio, contact Reg Gaskins at 240-832-4455.
I know what it is. You got the FOG. You got the favor of God on your life.
I guess that's it then. Look, Jesus paved the way, I'm just trying to be a clone. Yeah, I serve a king that's forever on the throne. Might see me rolling solo, but I'm never alone. So the places that I've been, I ain't get there on my own. It's been a lot of speculation, like I gotta give it to me. I am no one special, I just know I got that favor on me. You can look as close as you want and shine a light on my flaws. All you'll observe is a constant move of God. I'm in awe very often, gotta put